Hi guys, it's One Love Ted, and it's time for my afternoon story. I'm reading The Pushcart War by Gene Merrill, and it's the long chapter today, so I'm going to get right to it. Chapter 15, The Arrest of Frank the Flower. On the 9th day of the pea shooter campaign, Frank the Flower was arrested. A pea tax spotter spotted him. A few of the trucking companies had become dissatisfied with Mac's theory about the pea tax coming from outer space. These companies had removed their pea tax spotters from the hoods of their trucks and stationed them on the tailgates of the trucks or on the rear bumpers with orders to watch for an enemy on the ground. One of these spotters, riding on the tailgate of a moving van, saw Frank the Flower aiming at one of the rear tires of the van. At first he thought Frank was just moistening the tip of a yellow pencil. But when the van slowed down for a red light a few blocks later, the spotter heard air escaping from one of the truck's rear tires, and he remembered the look of concentration on Frank the Flower's face as he had put the pencil to his mouth. While the driver got out to examine his punctured tire, the spotter ran back 3 blocks and was just in time to catch Frank the Flower sighting another truck. The spotter did not actually see the pea pin leave the shooter, but when the truck Frank the Flower had been aiming at limped to the curb with a flat tire before it reached the next corner, the spotter called the policeman and demanded that he search Frank the Flower. When the policeman found the shooter in Frank the Flower's pocket and asked what it was, Frank said that it was a yellow plastic straw made for him by a good friend. In case I should order a bottle of cream soda and the restaurant should be out of straws, Frank explained. Cream soda, said the policeman. He looked a little doubtful. My favorite drink, said Frank. Some people don't mind drinking from a bottle, he added, but I prefer to have a straw. My wife is like that, said the policeman, and he was about to give the shooter back to Frank the Flower when his eye fell on the half-dozen pea pins that Frank the Flower had stuck in his hat band. Frank the Flower was about to suggest that they were imitation pearl corsage pins that he gave out with special orders in case a lady wanted to pin a bunch of flowers on her dress. But the spotter had already recognized them as the pea tax that the truckers had been finding in their tires. Frank the Flower had no choice but to confess to shooting down the 2 trucks the spotter claimed he had shot down, especially after the spotter succeeded in finding the pea pins in the tires. The question arose then as to how many other trucks Frank the Flower might have shot down. Frank said he would have to think. This was a difficult question for Frank. He had shot down either 17 or 18 trucks, but he could not be sure which. On the 2nd day of the pea shooter campaign, one truck that was running through a red light had got away before Frank could tell whether he had scored a flat, and this one truck had been confusing his count ever since. Some days Frank felt it was perfectly fair to count it. Other days he had to admit that he would be giving himself the benefit of the doubt. Quite probably it was 18, he told himself, as the policeman waited for his answer, and while 18 was not in the class with Harry the hot dog, it sounded suddenly like a very high score. Although Frank felt a certain pride in the matter, he did not want to be in any more trouble with the police than necessary, in which case it would be better to say 17. Frank considered the matter all the way to the police station. At the police station, the police commissioner himself took charge of the questioning. All right, said the police commissioner when the officer who had arrested Frank explained the problem. How many? Frank the Flower wondered how long He would have to stay in jail if he did confess to 18. I'm waiting, said the police commissioner. Well, said Frank cautiously, at least 17. At least, said the police commissioner, and at most, maybe 18, Frank said uncertainly. Maybe, said the police commissioner. Now see here, there have been 18,991 flat tires reported in the last week, and I intend to find out who shot down every one of them. So how many did you shoot down at most? It was at this moment that Frank the Flower became a hero. He looked the police commissioner in the eye. Okay, I admit it, he said. I shot them all. All of them, said the police commissioner. All 18, Frank said. All 18,000, that is. I count by the thousands. 18,000, gasped the police commissioner. Frank smiled apologetically. Maybe a few more or less. I lose track. But 18,000, said the astonished commissioner. All of them, Frank said firmly. I shot them all. All 18,991, said the police commissioner. Frank the Flower nodded. When the police commissioner mentioned the large number of flat tires that had been reported, Frank suddenly realized that if he confessed to shooting down only 17 or 18, the police would go on looking for whoever had shot down the rest. If that happened, all his friends might be arrested too, and that would be the end of the pea shooter campaign. Frank decided that as long as he had already been arrested, he might as well take the blame for everything. It was better, he reasoned, that the police had caught him than Harry the hot dog, who was better aimed. Not that 18 was anything to be ashamed of. All 18,991, asked the police commissioner, as if he had not heard correctly the first time. I lose track of the exact number, said Frank the Flower. Maxie Hammerman's map at last count had over 20,000 pea pins in it, but Frank the Flower did not like to tell the police commissioner that his count was off by 1,000 or more. He felt sure that would annoy the police commissioner. I cannot be sure down to the last tire, said Frank the Flower, but I have been at it several days now. The police commissioner could hardly believe his luck in having got a full confession so easily. The truck drivers had been giving him a great deal of trouble with their complaints, and he was tired of the whole affair. But what did you do it for? Asked the police commissioner. Have you got something against trucks? Frank the Flower shrugged. I am a crackpot, he said. I thought so, said the police commissioner. Being a sensible man himself, he took the view that only a crackpot could have done what Frank the Flower had confessed to doing. Besides, Frank the Flower did not look to the police commissioner like a criminal type. This was mainly because of the hat Frank wore. It was an old felt hat with the crown cut out of it and the small flowers of different colors, mostly bachelor buttons and jonquils, tucked in the hatband. Frank the Flower put the fresh flowers in the hatband every morning. Frank the Flower's hat was not really such an odd hat for someone in the flower line to wear. In a way, it was kind of an advertisement. However, the police commissioner had never seen a hat like this before. The police commissioner felt that it definitely was not the kind of a hat a true criminal type would wear, but he thought it might very well be the sort of a hat that a crackpot would wear. But 18,991 tires, said the police commissioner. It was nothing, said Frank the Flower modestly. The police commissioner sat studying Frank the Flower for several minutes. Then he called the policeman who had arrested Frank. You'll have to lock this man up, he said, but treat him gently. He is a harmless crackpot. The police commissioner patted Frank kindly on the shoulder. He was much relieved to have solved the P-tack problem. Within half an hour, extras announcing the arrest of Frank the Flower were on the newsstands. Spotter spots P-Tacker, said one headline. P-Tacker captured, said another. Tackman is a crackpot, said a third. Under the headlines there were pictures of Frank the Flower. When General Anna saw the headlines, she sent out word that all peddlers should report at once to Maxie Hammerman's. In the cellar of Maxie Hammerman's shop, the peddlers listened to the police commissioner on the radio. The police commissioner was assuring the public that there was no further cause for alarm. The mystery of the punctured truck tires had been solved, he said. It had all been the work of a harmless crackpot. The police commissioner's announcement brought tears to the eyes of some of Frank's friends. They realized that he was trying to protect them by taking all the blame himself. For such an idea, he should be president of the USA, said Morris the florist. President, said Papa Perez. How can he be the president? How can the president be a crackpot? Not that I do not appreciate what Frank the Flower has done, he added. He is a hero, said General Anna. May he live 100 years old. 100 years, said Mr. Jerusalem. So he could spend them all in jail, maybe? For so many truck tires, Frank the Flower could stay in jail for the rest of his life. Mr. Jerusalem, who was used to sleeping under the stars, could not think of anything worse than being shut in a jail cell. He did not think it was right that Frank the Flower should take all the blame. We must all take our share, he said. We must go to the police commissioner and explain. No, said General Anna. If we all confess, the war is finished, and it is the trucks who have won. By taking the blame, Frank the Flower is telling us that he wishes us to carry on. How can we let him down when he is in so much trouble to help us? No, we cannot let him down, said Harry the hot dog. I personally will kill 10 tires for Frank the Flower this afternoon. Wait, said Eddie Maroney. As long as Frank the Flower is in jail, we cannot kill any more tires. Why not, said Harry the hot dog. You do not agree with General Anna that we must carry on? I always agree with General Anna, said Eddie Maroney. Of course, we must win the war. I am only pointing out... Oh, I forgot a picture. I'm only pointing out that if there are any more flat tires, the police commissioner will not believe Frank the Flower's story that he himself has killed all those trucks. The police will look again, and now that they know what to look for, how long do you think it will be before they are arresting every pushcart peddler in the city? Eddie Maroney is right, said General Anna. Everybody will turn in his shooter and ammunition before leaving Maxie Hammerman's shop tonight. Everyone, said Harry the hot dog. Harry the hot dog had had more fun shooting at truck tires than he had ever had before. He was proud of holding the record for the most tires killed, and he was even a little jealous that Frank the Flower, who had killed only 17 or 18 tires, should be getting all the credit in the newspapers. It is not the end of the war, said General Anna. It is only the end of the pea shooter campaign. We must find a new weapon. Tomorrow will be chapter 16. Big Mo's attack on the police commissioner. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, One Love Ted Koch. Thanks. Bye-bye.